Okay. Yesterday we were talking about Azure cloud services and AWS, SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS. So today we will compare the different Azure cloud service providers like AWS, Azure, and GCP. AWS stands for Amazon Web Service. Azure is Microsoft Azure. GCP stands for Google Cloud Providers. Okay. Okay, Google Cloud Platform. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, now let's go one by one. What is this compute? Service type compute means we call it as a computer, like virtual machines. Uh, Once virtual machines. In Azure, we call it as a virtual machine. And in AWS, like Amazon Web Service, we call it as a Elastic Cloud Computing, EC2. EC2 stands for Elastic Cloud Computing. And in uh, Google Cloud Provider, we call it as Compute Engine. It's kind of a system, machine, like how you and me use day-to-day basis, no, like with the operating system, with the hardware and the software configuration. So that compute stands for. So same way in the cloud environment, we have the computers with a higher configuration. Higher configurations in the sense, it kind of a 10 TB or 50 TB or 100 TB of disk space, and 50 gig or 500 gig or 1000 GB of RAM with larger capacity. Okay, we call it as, the terminologies are different, the functionality are almost the same. So Amazon EC2 stands for Elastic Computing Cloud. We call it is in AWS, and Azure stands for Azure Virtual Machines, and in GCP it comes with a name of Compute Engine and Cloud Functions. Okay, now let's move on to the storage. Storage stands for where you store your application or data or files. Okay, in AWS, in AWS, we Amazon Web Service, we call it as a Amazon S3, and Amazon EBS, and Amazon EFS. You just remember the terminologies. That's enough. Like Amazon S3, EBS, and EFS. This stands for storage services. Okay, in Azure, we will call them as Azure Blob Storage and Azure Files. Okay, if we will in Azure, we will see all those functionalities, and we will work in the upcoming sessions. Like what do you mean by blob storage, how the file storage works, this and all I'll explain. But this is about the storage. One storage means it will save all the files, folders, it will save the data. Okay, in Amazon AWS, uh, in AWS we will call it as Amazon S3 and Amazon EBS, and in Azure Blob Storage, we call it as in Azure we call it as Azure Blob Storage and Azure Files, and in GCP we call them as Cloud Storage and Persistence Disk. Okay, so these are the naming conventions given by different cloud service provider for the same service. Service in the sense for the same functionality. So in database, coming to the database part, in AWS, we call it as Amazon RDS, and we call them as Amazon Dynamic DB. Okay, but in Azure, we have different databases. Like yesterday, we have seen. I'll just show you one of the database where we have seen. So we have multiple databases which are available. So this one, Amazon Azure SQL and Cosmos DB, I have just highlighted two, but we have multiple databases. If you go to the more services, And if you call the database, so we have these many databases. I can't list everything in that sheet. You can utilize these many databases. Okay, in Azure. In Azure, we can see multiple databases. In again SQL, uh, Cloud SQL, Cloud Spanner, and Firestore. So these are the terminologies used for the databases in Google Cloud providers. We call it as a Google Cloud Platform GCP. Okay. Now networking. Coming to networking part. Networking is the one where it communicates between one component to the another component. It stands for like, suppose I have a system, I have a virtual machine, and I have a SQL server. What I will do is with the help of virtual network, I will connect a virtual machine and I'll connect a SQL server. And that network flow will be done in the private IPs. We call it as a private IP, PRIVATE, private IP. Okay, this private IP stands for networking. So networking, we call it as Amazon VPC in Amazon Web Services and Amazon Direct Connect. Okay, again we have multiple flavors are available. I'm just highlighting few of the important names and the terminologies in AWS. But coming to Azure, this Azure Virtual Network and Azure Express routes. So if you see our part, so this is a networking. You can see these many networking components are available in Azure. So I was talking about virtual networks. You can just search here. This is a virtual network which I'm talking about, and express routes. Okay, express routes. So we will see few of the sessions like on virtual network we will see, and we'll see on service endpoints, we will see on private endpoints. Okay, these are the networking services which are available, and each networking services has its own priority, like has its own usage. Suppose when to use virtual network, when to use express routes, when to use private link, when to use NAT gateway. So it has each networking has its own functionality based on the cloud adoption framework. You can choose. Okay, so this is one of the important topic I'll cover in the upcoming sessions on the networking part. Okay, now coming to virtual private cloud VPC and cloud interconnect. So these are the different terminologies which they used on GCP, Google Cloud Platform, but the functionality remains the same. For the networking, they call it as virtual private cloud or cloud interconnect. Okay, so now one of the important part, artificial intelligence and machine learning. Okay, so here we call it as Amazon SageMaker and recognition. Okay, in Amazon. But when coming to Azure, we call it as a cognitive search, OpenAI, and Azure machine learning. So if you see, we'll have those functionalities. So AI and machine learning. So in AI and machine learning, if you see here, these are the categories. Okay, these are the categories which are available. So if I type CON cognitive search, this is one of the cognitive search, and machine learning. This is one of the Azure machine learning. Okay. And we have OpenAI. This is Azure OpenAI. Okay. So these are the AI and ML features which are available in Azure. So based on your requirement, based on your functionality, you can opt these services. Okay. This is all about Azure AI and ML, and in Google GCP, we call it as Google Cloud AI Platform and Auto ML. Okay, the terminologies are different, almost the functionality will be the same. Okay, and in analytical services, this analytical service is used for big data, like we call it as a data warehousing. Anyone heard the terminology data warehousing? Data warehousing? Yes, no?
No, no.
Okay. So data warehousing is a term where we will process big chunk of data, like 10 trillions of data, 10 to 15 trillions of data we will handle. So we call those as analytical services. Okay, this is one of the SaaS offering. SaaS offering, software as a service offering. Okay, in AWS we call it as a Amazon Redshift and Athena and QuickSight. Okay, but in our Azure, we call them as Azure Synapse Analytics, and Power BI. So why this analytic service is important means, suppose I'll just give one real use case for your understanding. Uh, I have a big organization. Say like you take it as a Flipkart. Okay, on Flipkart, every day people will come and order, book the services, and they will go to the vendors, and then vendors will deliver the product to the customer. So in this scenario, they wanted to understand the workflow, and they wanted to understand the user behavior, and they were on top of the transactions, they wanted to build some external analytics, like to improve the product for their future purpose. So what they will do is, they will study, they will analyze the data, they will make some business units, or they will form some business functionalities on the day-to-day transactions. For that, they need to save the data, and on top of that they need to apply some business logic. So for that reason, they use analytical services. Suppose CEO or a CFO will ask, Flipkart CFO or CEO asks to the business team, stating that, hey, give me the data where how many sales happened on last week. So how they will pull the data? They can't do the query of millions of data on a single time. So they have predefined packages will be defined in analytical services. So they will run those packages, and the report will get generated in the help of Power BI. Power BI is especially used to generate the data report. Okay, and analytical services is used to store the data. Okay, so these are the main functionalities of this analytic, and this plays a major role. Like we have separate examinations, we call it as a DP 900. DP 900 in Azure certification is DP 900. Okay, 900. This DP 900 is used for especially analytical services and data engineering. Okay, these are the main important topic. So we will see analytical services, how it is listed in our Azure. So if you talk about it, it is not listed separately. It is listed in here only, in SQL only. Analytics, we call it as ADF, ADF Data Factory.
You have the second option, analytics. In the
Ah,
categories,
ah,
the second one.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So here, no, this analytics is, yes, here. This data factories. So these data factories, we call this as analytical service. So this is what I am talking about. And this Power BI. Okay. So this data factory comes with Synapse database, where you handle millions of data, and you can perform all those actions. And in analytics, we have log analytics. We'll use this in our session. and we'll use data factories. You heard about data lakes, Azure Databricks. So these are the analytics services. Okay, you can utilize.
Okay. Do we learn about Power BI as well?
No, Power BI is not included in these sessions.
Okay. So, but we have to learn it as well.
Ah, you can learn as your own. I'll just give you the glimpse like how it can be taken and how you can utilize it. But this Power BI is not included in the current curriculum.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is about analytics. Now here serverless computing. So serverless computing is one of the important part where what I can say is like Azure AWS Lambda and Azure Step Function. So these don't have a server explicit server defined. We will define a bit of pieces, which like small chunk of code which will be executed on the Azure or on the cloud. With the help of that functionality, you can achieve again end-to-end, one-to-one, many-to-many. I can say executions, many-to-many functionalities. Like a simple example, I'll give you triggers. Like we in Azure functions, we have queue trigger, we have queue trigger, blob trigger, and all. Suppose if I upload any one of the file in the blob or storage location, automatically my Azure function will get triggered and it will do the operation. So this is a kind of a serverless where user sessions will not be maintained only by the user activity, the functions will be defined. Okay, this is about Azure functions and logic apps. And same thing in GCP, we call it as cloud functions and cloud run. So we will see with logic apps and serverless computing. Compute. It will not display. So here you can see serverless and microservices. Function app. We call this as a function app where it triggers this function app will help us to do the serverless operation. We will work on this function app. I'll just explain a few of the important things. I can show you a demo on this in upcoming sessions when I'm explaining machine this app services and function apps. Okay, this is included function app on serverless and logic apps. Logic app also will help. So then comes to here. This logic app comes in a different way. Workflow, compute. Sometimes okay. I'll just say all and then I'll say logic. Yeah, you can see this logic app. Okay, this logic app and analytics. It comes in analytics. Okay, this is a logic app. Okay, it comes in. This is a kind of a serverless. You can call it. Okay. Now, containers. This is one of the important part. Containers in the sense like multiple people are nowadays containers are popular and almost all the cloud providers are having its own containers. Container in the sense a set of code. I have a code which is there in the DLL. Okay, and that converted into a image. I will convert that into the image, and that image is posted on this Amazon ECS and AKS and forget. Okay, so this is in AWS. And coming to the Azure, we call it as a Azure Kubernetes Services and the Docker. Okay, we will host those images under the Docker and under the AKS. So where my functionality becomes seamless, and the environment and the configurations are stick to these images, because I have created an image out of my all the configurations, and you can move, you can play around these images in a very well manner. Coming to the like hosting or deploying the, what I can say, code, deploying a code in a normal way and deploying a code with the images. We have advantages. So this is also covered containers. It- I'll explain you this container functionality in upcoming sessions. Okay, in GCP, we call this as a Google Kubernetes Engine and Cloud Run. Okay, these terminologies, but the functionality is same. IoT. Okay, let me show you the containers in our you see this is a container. You can see this container instance and container registry. So this container registry is used to store the images which we have created. We call it as a Docker file. We create container registry, we'll store a Docker file here, and then this Kubernetes service. We will use this Kubernetes service for the application deployment cluster and managing all the operations. Okay, so this is one of the important topic. Okay, containers. Okay, now we'll move to the next part, IoT. So IoT means Internet of Things, where AWS IoT Core and Green Grass, they made the terminologies Azure IoT Hub, IoT Central. So it's a hardware and the software combination, what we call it as IoT, Internet of Things. Suppose it's an integration between the hardware functionality and the software. Suppose just like Alexa, turn off the lights. If you just say, what happens is Alexa will go listen to your terminology, and based on your configuration, it turn off. So these are simple functionalities which they have integrated in IoT. Okay, in GCP they call it as a cloud IoT core and IoT edge. Okay, so same thing. If I go to the IoT, this is Internet of Things. We call it as IoT. So IoT Central, IoT Hub, and Azure IoT. So these are the services which we see in IoTs. Okay, you can utilize these services for IoT also. Okay, here multiple services are repeated. You no need to worry. These can be used for IoT. The main important. This is about IoT and Azure. Now management and monitoring. So this is one of the important topic. So you create all the services. You create all the services. You have to manage and monitor. Suppose if any issue happens at the cloud, or any suppose your service got down. So how you troubleshoot? The troubleshoot will help you if you have managing management and monitoring services are enabled. Okay, in AWS we call it as AWS CloudWatch, AWS Config, AWS System Manager. Okay, with this configuration you can watch your application, you can make a logging to the application functionality, and you can so if application goes down, you can troubleshoot with the help of logs by using this AWS CloudWatch and AWS Config. Same thing in our Azure, we have Azure Monitor, we have Azure Advisor, and we have Azure Automation. So these are the services which especially used for monitoring. Suppose if my functionality goes down, like I have created a app service, and for app service it is running fine for 3 days, but today my app service is not working, user not able to log in. So to troubleshoot what happened and what is the cause, so this monitoring service will help you. These monitoring services will have logs which will be retained, and with the help of log we can understand or we can troubleshoot the app service. So this is one of the example. which I have taken. And in GCP, we have cloud monitoring and cloud logging and cloud tracing. Okay. If you come to Azure Monitor, let's see, to Azure Monitor, so you can see monitor and these are the monitoring services. So metrics. So one important point I wanted to highlight is if you create any resource in Azure, this metrics is common. This is a predefined metrics will be there for every resources in Azure. Suppose if I create an app service or if I create a virtual machine or if I create a function app, this metrics is common. You can use this metrics for monitoring purpose, just to check the resource consumption, resource intention, and request response time. So the we have different parameters defined in this metrics. Okay, and traffic flow, everything you can check. And this application insight will help us in debugging the troubleshooting the transactions or understanding the in-depth logging of the app services, or we can say virtual machines. Okay, this application insight and log analytics will store the data of inbound and outbound traffics of an any component, like be it be a SQL, be it be Azure. So it it tracks all the requests about log analytics. Okay, so these are the monitoring services. So we will see this metrics in our sessions, and we will see this alerts, like how the alerts are triggered, and during what point of time, and we will see few of log analytics. So if you say log analytics, I have few log analytics defined. So which will store the data. So I have few log analytics. So this is one of the log analytics, and you can just use this table logs. You can run this logs. Currently, I don't have any resource, so this will not give you any data. Okay, this is all about log analytics. So you can do a query here, and you can select the functions. You can do the operations of database audit. You can do virtual network. You can perform and functions. If you have predefined functions, you can. Okay, this is one of the log analytics workspace. Okay, you can connect, configure, monitor. You can do it. You can see for everything we have metrics for every workspace, and based on this metrics, we can check what are the different services are available and what are the nodes. So each service again stands for different things. So these are the metrics. How we can check the metrics. And this is the log analytics workspace. We will see available memory and count. Okay, nothing is there. Okay. So this is how we can view the data of monitoring services. Okay, next. So this is service comparison of AWS, Azure, and GCP. Any doubts? Anything you can just ask me. I'll go to next slide. All good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Neeraj. But I think when we work practically, that time we will get more doubts.
Yes, yes, yes. When you work hands-on, you will get more knowledge. Yeah, just it is just for introduction, like what are the services and how we can see these services. Now next, yeah. Now Azure and its benefits. So what are the benefits we'll get when we compare the services from on-premises to Azure? So the scalability and flexibility. What this scalability will do means scalability will scale your resource up or down based on your needs. Whether you are on small startup or large enterprise, you can easily adjust your infrastructure to match your workload. Okay, so the scalability and flexibility are one of the important part where you can expand your resources or we can downgrade your resources based on your need. I'll just give you one of the example that small organization will not have that much of budget to post their application onto the cloud. So what they will do is they will take the subscription, they will do the account creation and all. So whenever there is a demo with the end user or with the client, they will make that resource available in Azure, and they will give a demo and they will depict or they will show to the end user stating that we are into cloud and we are working on cloud and we operate on cloud, and post the demo they will take down the resource and they will disable it. So with that they will save the cost. Okay, but the same thing is not possible on on-premises server. If they wanted to do a demo, they definitely should have infrastructure. They definitely should have power unit, server room, storage, and server management team. So lot of headache is there. So due to that, the scalability and flexibility makes important role. Okay, in Azure. Okay, coming to flexibility, like Azure supports what I can say variety of operating systems, programming languages, frameworks, databases, and devices. So this flexibilities I can say is crucial for business with diverse technology needs. Suppose if I wanted to do AI and ML in our what I can say, if I wanted to do an AI and ML in our on-premises server, that is not possible because this AI and ML is built on separate algorithms. So these are the what I can say SaaS services provided by Azure, but the same functionality will not be available in our on-premises. So the scalability, flexibility is very important when compared to Azure. So that is one of the thing, and security. So here coming to security, so Microsoft means compared to Azure, I am saying Microsoft will invest heavily in security and compliance and privacies. So Azure provides multiple layers of security. Okay, built-in compliance control, what I can say, and treats threat detection, safeguard your applications and the data part. Okay, to just show you one of the thing, I just done it here. So okay, so this is what I can say, the compliance. Okay, you can see these are the compliance offering which are given by Microsoft. So everything security and compliance is taken care by Microsoft, and they invest heavily for this kind of resources. So how many compliance are there? So this compliance, regulatory monitoring and security, everything will be maintained by cloud service providers. Okay, that is one of the important thing I just wanted to highlight here. Okay, security and compliance. Okay, what I can say is this, Azure maintains a robust security measures, customer data, and it offers advanced security features like encryption, identity access management, and data loss prevention. And data loss prevention is one of the important topic where I can keep the data for 7 days. I can keep the data for 1 month, 1 year, 10 years. Okay, so you can keep the data based on your data retention policies. Okay, and data loss prevention also. Okay, and compliance with various industry standards and regulations, data privacies and meeting specific compliance requirement will be maintained by cloud service provider, be it be Azure, be it be Microsoft, be it be Amazon, or be it be Google. These security and the compliance will be managed and maintained. Okay, you can see here this is AI and machine learning. So this AI and machine learning will have capabilities where you enable the business to leverage the powerful of technologies, because these are the SaaS services which are offered by SaaS, Azure, or the we can say cloud service providers. You can utilize these services for develop, train, and do your own learning models. Okay. So coming to data analytics and insight, I told you Azure Data Factory is one of the services which used for analyze large volume of data, and this data, this maintaining this and managing and securing this data, everything is taken care by Azure itself. It is not handled by organization like which they are taking. Okay, because this is a SaaS service, so this is entire thing is taken care by Azure. Okay, cost effectiveness. So whenever there is a need, you can utilize pricing model like including pay as you go, and which will give you a sustainable discount, allowing business to optimize the cost based on the actual usage. You can utilize the cost whenever there is a need of a business. You can just, what I can say, utilize it. Whenever there is no need, you can just shut down it. So it works on pay as you go model. Okay. And Azure pricing is competitive. It provides cost management and monitoring. So you can just see the cost management and monitoring. I'll show you here. Okay, so this is where you will see the cost management and monitoring. So I'll just go to the services. We'll just go to the home. So we'll go to subscription. And this is my subscription. Under the subscription, you can see the cost analysis. It will take some time because it has to pull all the data which we have. Okay, you can see this is one of the cost which where we can see the cost. So currently the cost is 1000, and budget constraint, I have put the constraint for 2000, and you can see how many resources are used for how many, what are the cost. You can see end-to-end cost, and you can get the invoice also last 7 days, last 30 days, or you can get the invoice. If you want, you can add the filter. So this is for cost analysis. So you can define cost alerts. Okay, you can add alerts, and you can define a budget constraint. So I have defined the budget constraints for 2000. You can define it. So these are the things you can play around. You can verify, or you can put a cap on the cost analysis. So this is all about costing. Just for an example, I'm telling in next sessions, like I'll just tell you how the cost will be calculated monthly, how the organization will do the billing of this costing and all. Okay, you can export this data into an Excel sheet also. Okay. This is about the cost effectiveness and cost management. Okay, next. Okay, so global network. So now, Azure infrastructure is built on global networks, like it has multiple data centers available, and Google services and Gmail and YouTube's also running for different, what I can say, GCPs. Okay, it consists of high performance private optic cables of low efficiency and high bandwidth and connectivity. Okay, and this global network ensures reliable and efficient data transfer region between the data centers. So we will see what I can say. Azure. Okay, this is my global network which I was talking. So this is the global network. I'll just paste this link in the chat. This is important. You keep this link because here it shows me all the compliance also here, because this compliance is very difficult to find it, and it shows me the availability zones also. and it gives everything. So West Europe, East US, East Europe, you can just give this, check this data also. Okay, so location where it is, where you wanted to host, availability zones, compliances. You can see the compliances here. This is about industry compliance, and this is GXP compliance. Data privacies stored in Europe and stored in rest in Europe. You can just check all these things. Okay, this is a constraint restrictions and availability zones when the year of opened and everything. So coming to India, we'll see about India. We have three data centers available. So if you say India, Central India, South Central India, South Central, and South India. So we have Pune, Hyderabad, and Chennai. Okay. If you select Central India, it will be Pune. If you select India South Central, it will be Hyderabad. If you say South India, just it will be there in Chennai. In sense, India South Central, it is not yet opened. It will be coming soon. So you can just opt for this South India and Central India. So you can use this services. So what are the products by this region? Suppose which are the products and services you can utilize. So on this India, Central India, we can use Azure Databricks. We can use these services, ticked one. Okay, unchecked one, you can't use it. Okay, I can't use Azure Cache Studio on this network. So this is also one of the important. While creating your product, you can't create a selected region and you can't use it. Okay, that is one of the important. So I'll just paste this link also in the chat. Which products can be seen on which regions? Okay, so you can say I wanted to see India. I have selected, and I wanted to select some different regions. Okay, so you can see India, South India, and Central India. I have selected. South India and Central India, you can see expected, still it is coming. Okay, it is there. So you can use these services. The ticked one, you can use it. Okay, this is one of the important link for your reference. And this is regions. I'll just share you this link also in the chat. You can use this link where you can see the regions, how many availability zones are there. So this is one of the important topic, availability zones. To check only the availability zones in all the data centers, you can utilize this link. Okay. So these are the important links where you can verify the data centers, and you can verify the compliance data redundancy, and you can verify the product offering availability in every data center. Okay, this is useful link. You can utilize it. Let's move on to the okay now regions and the zones. Yeah, so zones and the zone redundancy and availability set and availability zone. So these are the important concepts which are there in Azure. So Azure is organized into regions, which are region specific and geographical locations, and resources and services are hosted. So each region contains multiple zones, so which are isolated with to the isolated data centers within a region. So this is one of the important point. Suppose I'm able to see here, if you go to this service, sorry, if you go to here and you can see these zones, no, are availability zones. This zone 3 and zone 3 stands for on a single, okay, on central, Canada Central, I have three zones. Zones in the sense, on the Canada Central, I made a data center, a, partition in such a way that for every data center, I have a separate power supply. I have separate uh, cooling system. I have separate data infrastructures. So to avoid the downtime or to avoid the downtime and like issues, so I segregated my availability zones. Okay, I'll just help you. Availability zones is one of the important topic. This one, yeah. This is a availability zones. Okay, so availability zone stands for I in the same South Central Canada. Like if you just I have highlighted one of the thing, any one of you can take it South Central Canada or you can take it any Germany West Central or anything. So in this, what I am doing is I am segregating these three data centers. This is one, this is two, and this is three. Okay, three data centers. I'll explain in detail when I am explaining data center architecture, what is rack and what is server and all. Just you think about this availability zone means in this is South Central Canada. In this, I have three separate blocks buildings. For every building, I will give separate power supply and cooling system, separate power supply for cooling system and separate power supply and cooling system. If any one of this goes down, so if any one of this goes down, still two are available. If my application is into availability zone, so it will not face any downtime. You have to choose, and the costing for this is varying. Okay, if you choose availability zones, the costing will be a different one. If you don't choose availability zones, the costing will be less. If you choose it, the costing will be more because you are creating a copy of your application into this and this. Okay, that is one of the important point, because you are making your application highly available even though there is a disaster recovery or there is any disasters. Okay, this is the concept of availability zones. Any doubts here?
No.
Okay, good. So this is one of the availability zones, what we can say here. Okay, so this is multiple zones, multi-zones you have, and these are isolated data centers within a region. So these are the isolated one where you can see isolated. So these are not connected. These are internally connected, but power supply and cooling system will be completely different. So here, this regional and zonal architecture enables high availability and disaster recovery capability. So with this, you can achieve this high availability and disaster recovery capabilities. This is about Azure global infrastructures and the regions. Yeah, here data centers. So I have Azure operates on multiple data centers worldwide. I just showed you like these are the data centers uh, which are there. These are the data centers. Okay, multiple data centers. This is a worldwide data center list. Okay, and these data centers are equipped with advanced infrastructure, including servers, storage, networking equipments, and everything. I'll just, when I'm explaining data center architecture, I'll explain all those things. Nothing to worry. Just a glimpse I'm just explaining. And they are designed by redundancy, fault tolerance. Fault tolerance, I'll just explain. Like what is meant by fault tolerance and redundancies. And ensure the reliability and minimize the service disruption. So currently the Azure is into 69 regions and 21 availability zones. You can see 21 only. This is important point. Only 21 availability zones are there. 21 availability zone means if you go to here only 21. So these availability zones are available and this is we consider this is one zone. So one, two, three, you can count. If it is, it will be 21. Okay, according to the latest data. Okay, now you can see this one. This is a cloud regions. Okay, this where are the regions how many regions are there. So if I wanted to go for Azure list, region list. So this is what I was talking about. This is a region list and regional map. You can see this. These are the maps where you can see, and you can see the latency, the cost, the service availability, and delivering into availability zones. Understanding this, you can go for this link for the reference. Okay, you can even see the regional gist for GCP. How many regions the Google is there, and where is the regional list for AWS also. This link provides you everything. Okay, so this is one of the important link I will share you in the chat. You can utilize for all the services. Okay, I just shared you that link in the chat. You can use that and can utilize it. Okay, this is one of the 69 regions, 21 availability zones. Yes. Okay. So here you can see this availability zones in Google Cloud Platforms. So if I go to this, same thing. If I wanted to go to the Google Cloud Platform, so availability zones, we can see three. South Central 3, 3, 3, 3. Okay, so they have these many availability zones. Okay, so three zones they are having. You can see this availability zones. Availability zone stands for the power unit and independent power. You can see own power cooling, own networking infrastructure, minimizing the risk of simultaneous failures. And this availability zone provides redundancy, resiliency for your infrastructure, ensuring your application remains operational even one availability zone experience a failure. So they enables you to distribute your resources, fault tolerance, and minimizing the downtime. Okay, so multi-region and versus availability zones. Again, multi-region is one of the important topic. Multi-region in the sense what the people will do is people will host their application into multiple regions. Suppose what I'll do, I will host my application into Central India and South India. So this is a multi-region. So in multi-region also, if any one of the request fails, automatically my request will be routed, send my request will be sent to the Central India. If anyone of this is also possible, but in multi-region, high availability across different regions, and Azure provides high availability on single region. So again, because if any one of the data center goes down simultaneously, it impacts both also. So in multi-region, so that's why people will opt for availability zones if you really need high available application. Okay, in multi-region, what happens is mm, I will host my application. I'll just show you one paint so you'll understand. Mm. So in multi-region, what happens is I have this is one my application which is there in West Europe. I'll just take West Europe. Okay, West Europe, and same thing. I'll just take in East Europe. Okay, EST East, East Europe. Okay, so I have deployed my application here. Okay, I have deployed my application. This is one application and this is one application. I have deployed it. Suppose, and this application is maintained by my traffic manager. I'll just give you one example how the real time works. Uh, so this is my traffic manager. Traffic manager is the one where you can, traffic manager is there, app gateway is there. Okay, these are the services which handles multi-region support. traffic manager. Okay, what this traffic manager will do is, suppose this will distribute the request between the zones. Suppose I am into a different region, uh, a user. I'm a user. I'm a user and I'm sitting in India. Okay, I'm doing a request. So my request reaches to on this traffic manager. So based on West Europe and East Europe, it will check the distance and the latency on the network. So East Europe is near to India. So it sends the traffic to this. And from here again the data comes to traffic manager and it receives the data. My user will receive the data. Okay, this is how in the live scenario the data will work. And one of the important feature of traffic manager is it keeps on checking the health. So health check, we call it as a health check. It keeps on checking the health check. Health check means whether this application is alive or not. Health check. It keeps on checking the health, and both for both the application it keeps on checking the health for every minute, you can say. Okay, it keeps on checking the health for every minute and it sends the traffic. And one of the user is into, I can just say north, what I can say, north US, north US, and this is a user. Okay, user is into north US, and again he sends a request. So my request goes to the traffic manager, and this traffic manager sends, okay, he's into north. So I'll just send his request to West Europe, and then the data comes to this because this is a region which is near to it. So this is one of the terminology. Now multi-region. Now this entire this region goes for the toss. Entire this East US goes for the toss. So with the health check functionality, traffic manager understands, hey, this resource is down. This entire block is down. So any request from user India or any request from user North, I need to send the traffic to only this server because I'm getting the 100% health check pings from West Europe. So even though it is a latency, that is fine. So this is multi-region, what we can say. Okay, this is the concept which we apply on the live environment on multi-region support. Okay, so you got the point.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this is all about multi-region, what we can say. Okay, so multi-region ensures higher availability across the different regions, and AZ provides high availability with the single region also. And benefits like high availability will get fault tolerance. It designs infrastructure with the data redundancy, minimizing the impact for uninterrupted services and disaster recovery. So Azure plays a crucial role in disaster recovery, like replicating your data into the applications quickly for the case of recovery. And service language availability zones, you can utilize like Azure services are there, compute engine, cores, cloud storages. There are many ways are there. You can use this and the availability zone of disaster recovery happens. You can achieve the functionalities. Okay, and load balancing, auto scaling, configure, distribute the traffic around the workloads. This is one of the example I showed you, traffic manager, where it distributes the load and utilizes the resources on the Azure part. Okay, again, this compute stands for virtual network, virtual machines uh, on apps, mobile apps, logic apps, and service fabric. And this data service stands for uh, blob, blob, queue, and SQL, document DB, Redis cache. Analytics, just we discussed, like Azure Data Lake Analytics, Azure Synapse Analytics, Databricks. These are the list you will get, and I showed you. No, so this actually this slides talks about the list. If you go to the services, so this, so if you say compute, this list is talking. And if you say containers, this is what I have explained here. Container stands for providers Azure data centers, and this developers tools stands for like Visual Studio App SDK, and this DevOps stands for DevOps Test Labs, Automation Monitoring Services, and this identity will come in Active Directory AAD. We will see this AAD in detail in upcoming sessions, and Azure AD Domain Services and Managing User Services. Okay, and now coming to this integration part. So we have logic apps and we have service bus, event grid, event hubs, and other services where which connects the different services. Here, this is about IoT, Internet of Things, where IoT hub, IoT central, IoT edge. So this one, IoT Internet of Things. So whatever the list is coming here, I'm just displayed for the understanding. Okay, so these are the quick links where you can utilize. I have shared all the links to you in the chat. Okay, so yeah, so today we have completed the complete introduction, a quick overview of IaaS, SaaS, and PaaS, and few of the concepts on the what are the services offerings are available and availability zones and multi regions. Any doubts or anything you can ask me. So tomorrow there will be no session, and day after tomorrow I'll continue.
So this week only Friday we have, and next it will be from Monday onwards, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Thank you, Neeraj. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Sukrita. Thank you.
Thank you, Neeraj.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.